Hi there, welcome back to the channel. In this video we're going to create a data table using Livewire version 3. This is actually something that was requested in one of the previous videos, so we're going to build that. But did you know this already? We surpassed 1,600 subscribers, so thank you very much for that. And well, let's dive into it. Here we go. Alright, so I created this Laravel project beforehand here. There's nothing much in it at the moment. I still need to add Livewire to it. But I started out with changing the migration for the user. I added the first name. I also added an enum for the gender, which includes female, male, and other. And I also used a gender variable in the factory to generate a female or a male version of the first name. I didn't use something for other. You could also do that, but the others will also be a female name. I also included the gender that was generated, and everything else is the basic faker thing. We're calling upon that in the seeder. We're using the factory 2000 times in a create function. All right, so that's actually it for the moment. So we have a database. If I refresh here, I should have my database here, and in the users I have 2000 users, but we will reseed this in a moment. Okay, so first of all we're going to install Laravel Livewire, so that's livewire.laravel.com, and yeah, we're going to copy this. Composer require Livewire. So let's head over to Warp. I'm quickly going to navigate to the project, Datatable demo. There we go. And yeah, let's just add it. So composer require Livewire, and that should do the trick, right? There we go. Great. So now we have Livewire installed. So we could actually start creating components right now. So to create a component, we have done this in the previous video already. PHP artisan make Livewire and the name of the component that you want to make. So let's do that. PHP artisan make Livewire, and let's call it user list. There we go. So this created actually a user list. So app Livewire user list PHP resource views Livewire user list blade.php. So let's dive into the code here. In the app directory, we have a new folder, Livewire, and this is actually our component code. And in resources views Livewire user list, we have our blade template for our component. Okay, so to speed up this video, I create something beforehand to just copy paste into this here. Let me just quickly grab it. There we go. Here we go. All right, so let's get rid of this. So I have a div that actually beholds a section and some other things. Tailwind CSS does all the tricks here for us. And then we have a table right here with a name, email, gender. And I have a table row with name, email, gender, and as well. And I also have a per page toggly thing, and I also have a search. So let's save that. And we're going to call our blade component right into the body of our application. So add Livewire, and it's the user list component. Let's save that and let's refresh. Great. And now I still need to add Tailwind CSS CDN. So I also have this ready to copy paste. So let's get rid of this here. There we go. All right, so I didn't prepare dark mode here, so I'm quickly going to disable my dark mode. There we go. All right, so I have a search bar, I have my table head, I have one item in my list here, and I have my toggly for 10 items per page, 20 or 50. So we're going to get this all up and running and working with Livewire in a bit. But first of all, we're going to populate the data. All right, great. So let's start off with populating. So in our user list PHP, in here, I want to add an array here with the data that we want to show on the page. So let's blow this up a bit so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so in here, I want users, so users to be equal to user, and let's import that model user. There we go. And I want this to be, for example, all. But we don't want that. We want to paginate, right? So let's start off with a paginate of 10 items. All right, let's save that and refresh. And I have an error here. And what does the error say? User paginate, okay. And indeed, I don't need a semicolon over here. So there we go. Refresh, great. We can't see anything because we didn't populate our component blade file. So let's dive in here again. And actually in here, we're going to add a for each, which takes the users. So users as user. And instead of name, we're going to use user, let's say name first. All right. And as a second one, we're going to use the first name. Like that. And let's say also email. So user email. And also for the gender, we're going to say user gender. All right, let's save that, refresh here, and now I have one user in here. And that's because it's taking the last one, so I need to add this and put it in between the for each, like that. Save that, refresh, and now I have 10 users in my list. Great. So what about the pagination, right? We could make it this ourselves, but you know, Livewire and actually Laravel has it out of the box. So in here, let's say, and this is actually the footer, right? Just after this, so I want it to take place around here somewhere. So in here, we're going to add the user, users, oh, come on, users links, and that's a function. So refresh, and now I have, actually we have the links that are provided for us by default in Livewire and Laravel. So we can easily navigate through them and so on. All right, cool. Now we can actually paginate through them. I want to change this dynamically. So if I go for 20, I want to see 20 of them. All right, how we're going to do this? Well, we're actually going to create a property that changes throughout the time. So if we go to our user list PHP file again, we're going to add a public property. So public, let's say per page, like that. Well, we're going to give it a capital P, and we're going to start off with 10, right? So because we started off with 10 also, and we're going to use this value into our paginate here. So per page, and we're not going to call this like this. We're going to say this, this per page. Let's save that, refresh. This is not going to work, right? So we have an unexpected public because I forgot a semicolon. So this is not going to work right now because we don't have the, well, this isn't properly bound together. So what we need to do here, we need to change this into our blade file here. We need to tell blades, hey, this is a wire component, so wire. And it's actually a model that needs to change, so model, and it needs to change live. So wire model live, and we're going to change the property of per page live. So whenever this changes, we're going to update the amount of paginated items, and we're going to regenerate all this here. So, well, not this, but we're going to regenerate the user variable. Refresh, and we're going to select 20. Boom, now we have 20 of them. If we select 10 again, we have, 10 of them. So that's the first thing that we made live with Livewire. Great. So what about search, right? So when we want to search, we also need a property that changes throughout the use of our component. So we're also going to create a public property for that. So public, and we're going to call it, just call it search, right? And to start off, this will be an empty, an empty string. All right. Whenever we're searching, we could, update our query in here. But what I like to do, this with a scope in our model. So we're going to go into user and let's say public function scope search. And well, it's actually the query that will be passed on here. So query. And let's say we have, it's actually a value. So value, the value that we're searching upon. And we're going to extend the query. So where, for example, the name is like. And in here, we're going to like with percentages, the value that we're trying to search. And I also want to search on first name, so or where. And I'm quickly going to copy this like that. The first name, first name, like this. And I also want an or where for the email. So we're searching for name, first name, and email. Let's save that and head back to the user list. And instead of writing it all in here, we can easily say search because it's the search scope. And we're going to use this search because this is the public property that is going to be changed on our component blade file that we're going to do in just a second. Let's save that. So we're going to search this and also arrow paginate the result of that. So into our user list blade file here, we have, where is it? Right over here, the search. We have wire model live. And something very interesting here, we want to change this live, but we want to, whenever we're going to write something, it will be live. So we want to actually wait until we stop with typing. Otherwise, we will overload our server with a lot of requests. So we're going to add a debounce here. And I want a debounce of, let's say, 300 milliseconds. That's a bit like the standard thing that we tend to use at our company. So, and I want to change the public property of search. Great. So let's test this out. This should work. So we have a wire model live, debounce of 300 milliseconds for the public property search. And in the user list, PHP, the public property that is passed on to the model function, which is actually a scope. a scope search, which extends the query for the name, first name, or email to be like the search value that we type. All right. Hope this all works together, right? So let's refresh here, and I made an error, unexpected, blah, 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 and it's somewhere in here. Okay, so I need a semicolon at the end. Refresh. All right, so we have Kane here, right? So I'm going to search for Kane. Kane, all right, I have one hit on Kane. And as you see, this works live, but with a debounce of 300 milliseconds. So new, and I have Newell, let's search my own name, Bert. So Bert is in eBert, it's also in Dibert, it's in Berto here, in Berta, so this actually works, right? So let's see, I want Gilbert. And I have 2 hits on Gilbert, it's one in the email and one in the name. Great, so this works. Next up, I want to actually, sort my columns. All right, so to do this, we're going to do a few things. First of all, I want to add a little arrow beside the header here, right? So next to name, email, and gender, I want arrows, and I'm going to use Blade UI Kit for this. This is something that is built by Dries Fitz, and Kaneko is the guy who made all the artwork. So 2 amazing guys. So we're going to get started here. There we go. Installation. All right, we're going to install it. So, well, Composer require Blade UI Kit. So let's head over to Warp. Composer require this, and I actually want it's search icons that I needed here, search icons, and I want the up arrow like this, but I want this to be in a hero icon. So hero icon, where is hero icon? Hero icon. All right. So I want this this one here. So I also want the Composer require Blade hero icons, just to be sure. Whoops. And of course it's Composer, not Composer. There we go. And then we can just use the component. So let's copy this, and we're going to add it right after name here. Let's save that and head back over here and take a look. All right, this is way too big, right? So we're going to add a class. This is just standard Tailwind, a width of 6 and a height of also 6. So I have a square. And it's underneath name right now, so I need to add flex item center, I think. Yeah, all right, so it's right next to it right now. So next thing, I want to actually be able to click it, and it should sort ascending and descending, right? So let's head over to the user lists PHP here, and we're going to add a public property again, which will hold the direction of the sorting that we're going to apply. So I'm going to call it sort direction, and I'm going to start off with ascending. All right, and whenever we click it, I want it to actually do the sorting magic. So we're going to create a public function for that. So, and we're going to call it doSort. All right, and I want it to do sort on a specific column. All right, on a specific column. So that also means that I want to, besides the direction, I also want to know which column we're sorting. Column. And I want to start off with the column name by default. So whenever we click email, we're going to sort email. Whenever we click gender, we're going to sort gender. When we click name again, we're going to sort the name. And if we click name again, we're going to switch the direction of the sorting. All right, so let's open curly braces here. So whenever we click a column, we're going to set the column that we're sorting to that column. So sort column equal to column, like this, right? All right. Whenever we click a column, we change the sorting order. So we're going to add a click event on to this also. So we want to not only click the value, but we also just do complete head, right? So wire click, and we're going to call on every click the doSort function that we just created. So doSort, and we're going to pass on the name, because name is the name of our column that we want to sort. We're going to copy this to here like this, and we're going to add email in there, and also here for the gender. All right. So whenever we click it, we're going to do sort, and voila. All right, so let's add this to our little query we have over here. Like this, and order by, and we're going to order by the the column that we have stored, and I don't need this here. So sort column, we don't need the $sign. There we go. And we also want the direction. By default we will have ascending, but we can also already use this. This won't work at the moment dynamically, but we're going to add it in a bit. So direction. All right. We don't need semicolon. All right. So first thing we notice when we refresh, name is already sorted because we start off with default of name and ascending. All right. If we click email, we're going to sort email. If we hit gender, we sort the gender. If we click name again, we also sort the name. And if I click again, nothing happens. We're going to change that, right? Let's also change the direction. So whenever we click and the column is already the clicked column, we want to actually change the direction. So if, and we open curly braces, if this sort column is equal to the column that is clicked, we want to actually set the sort direction, this sort direction to the opposite of what the direction is at the current moment. So let's do this with another if statement, but a shorthand this time. Sort direction like this. If it's equal to ascending, make it descending. If not, make it ascending, like that. And well, we don't need this code to run, but I also want, whenever we change the column, to be ascending again. So by default, we're going to repeat this, and we're going to add an early return here. So whenever we click it and it's the same column, we switch the direction and we early return. If it's not, we change the column, we set the sort direction back to ascending, and this needs to be this sort direction, of course. And then, then it's default again. So let's refresh here. If I click, we have descending, ascending, clicked on email, it's default back to ascending, descending. If I click name again, it's again to ascending, and I can play around with this however I want. So great, that's very, very nice to have. But now I want to change the arrow pointing up and I want to change it to down. And if it's not clicked, I want to have both of them, up and down, right? So in order to keep the code in here a bit clean, I'm going to extract this into, well, it will get heavy and ugly if we add a lot of noise to that, because we're going to add some if statements to change all this, right? Okay, so first of all, I'm going to create a new blade component. So in the views here, what you want to do is you add a new folder called components, and in here I want a new file called let's say Datatable item. Yeah, item. Whoops, item.blade.php. All right, and in here I actually start off with a div, and I'm going to give it a class of flex item center, because well, simply because this here is going to disappear, right? Just like that. And what I want to do is I want to store this in here. All right, so the strange thing is I want to repeat this, so I want to dynamically give the name as a property. So I want this to be, for example, column name, right? And in here, I want an if statement saying if the sort column, and this is also a property that we're going to pass on to this component later on, column name. So if it's not the same, I want to have the up and down arrow. So up and down, and we're going to replace this in a bit. All right, if not, I want an else if. I want if the sort direction like this, and this is also something that we're going to pass on. If this is set to ascending, and let me briefly think here, if it's also the else and the end if. Oh, the end if is already there. If it's ascending, then the arrow should be down, yeah, and else it will be up. All right, so the up is already here. So arrow up, like this. Let's get rid of this here. And down is down, and up and down is, let me quickly take a sneak peek. Is it down and no? It is up and down, not down up. So up and down, like this. All right, so that's it, and we're going to pass on everything here. So we're going to use an X for the blade component, and we called it table item. All right, and we're closing off with a shorthand here, and I want the sort column. The sort column to be, so I'm using a column, sort column, equal to the value sort column. All right, so actually we're passing on the sort column that is in our public property. We're going to give it to the component as a named value sort column, so we can use it in here, sort column. All right, we're going to do the same thing for the direction. Sort direction. All right, And without a column, to pass on just a simple string, is column name. So the column name that we want to use here is name. All right, let's save that and give it a try. All right, so it's not working. Okay, but I can click on it because it's, yeah, the name is there. And I have a little issue, I think. Okay, I didn't close this here. So let's try again. All right, so now I have name. And if I click it, the arrow changes. If I click away, I have both arrows. All right, great. So let's apply this to, well, if you can see all this if mumbo jumbo here, it would be ugly if we have it all here, right? So let's copy this here and have it over here and also here, and just change this to email. Whoops, email and gender. All right, so now we have the whole thing working. So if I change this to bird, this is also working with bird, only 41 results. So now that's all wired up. If I click a link here, it will actually fail because we didn't tell Livewire that we're using pagination. So what we want to do is we want to tell Livewire that we're working with pagination here. So we need to also use with pagination like that, and let's import that as well like this. And if I refresh here, oops, okay, and if I click now on the links, well, this still works. All right, so this works great. So but what happens if we're on the last page, right, and we change the items per page? Then we hit something weird. We're actually only having 100 pages instead of 200, and we don't get any results. This is just plain ugly. The same thing, for example, we are on page 91, and I search for bird, bird, and I only have 41 results. But since I'm on page 91 and we only have 3 pages, this has some weird results. So what I actually want is I want to have the the page that we're on be resetted to number 1. So we can actually fix this with something called lifecycle hooks, and I'm going to add them right after, right before our render here. So lifecycle hooks, and that's public function. Awesome. Awesome. This thing just flipped to 1610 while we're recording this video. Great. Thank you, guys. Let's continue. All right, so where were we? Public function. Yeah, public function, and a lifecycle hook is actually updated, and then the name of the property that is updated. So updated, for example, per page, because our property is per page and it's camel case per page, and whenever that happens, I want this reset page. And reset page is actually something that is inside of the with pagination. It will actually reset the page that we're on. So whenever we are on page 5 or 10 or 20, it will reset to 1. And I'm going to copy this, and I'm also going to have this applied with updated search. Whenever we search, the lifecycle hook of update hits, we want to reset the page. Let's save that, refresh here, and for example, we're on page 93, and I'm going to search for bird. I am reset it to page 1. How awesome is that? So yeah, we can change the items per page. We can step between pages. We can sort. And yeah, cool, right? And actually we're I was a little bit confused, but we're sorting ascending and descending while we have bird in our search. So it is it's actually looking kind of strange, but it's still working. So if I remove this, I have a perfectly normal A to Z sortation. All right, so that's actually it for this video. I hope you learned something from this. I love Livewire. It's an amazing tool. So I will see you in one of the next videos. Take care. Bye bye.